Harper Quinn had exactly $43 in her bank account. A camera with a lens that stuck sometimes, and 20 minutes to cross the city for the biggest job opportunity of her month. She decided while sprinting through downtown, traffic that the universe had, personal vendetta against broke photographers, who also happened to run a secret comedy channel roasting rich people's ridiculous habits. The Grandview Hotel gleamed like a crystal palace against the evening sky. Harper smoothed her only black dress, the one she saved for professional events, and checked her equipment bag for the third time. Her camera, backup battery, and phone were all secure. The phone was important tonight because she had just uploaded her newest comedy video during the subway ride. A 5-minute roast about millionaires who complained about their vacation homes needing renovation. It was already getting decent views from her small but loyal following. Inside the hotel, everything screamed expensive elegance. Marble floors reflected crystal chandeliers that probably cost more than Harper made in 5 years. Women glided past in designer gowns, while men adjusted cufflinks that could have paid her rent for months. Harper felt like she had accidentally walked into a movie set where everyone knew their role except her, the event coordinator. Mr. Thompson appeared like a storm cloud in a pressed suit. His expression suggested he smelled something unpleasant, and that something was Harper's budget department store outfit. The main photographer called in sick, he said without greeting. You will cover the basic shots. Stay invisible, stay quiet, and do not interact with the guests. This is the Sterling Foundation Charity Gala. Mr. Nathan Sterling himself is hosting. Do you understand the importance? Harper nodded, biting back a dozen sarcastic responses. She needed this paycheck. Her camera gear needed repairs, her laptop was dying, and Becca, her roommate, had covered rent last month. Being invisible, she could manage. The ballroom was a masterpiece of wealth and excess. Ice sculptures shaped like swans guarded champagne fountains. A live orchestra played music that sounded like it cost $1,000 per note. Harper began photographing the scene, capturing the glittering crowd from the edges of the room. Everyone looked polished and perfect, like they had been born knowing how to hold wine glasses and make small talk about stock markets. Then she saw him standing near the stage. Tall, dark hair styled in that deliberately casual way that probably required an expensive stylist. Wearing a tuxedo that fit like it had been created specifically for his frame. Nathan Sterling. Harper recognized him from magazine covers and news articles. The man who built a tech empire before turning 30, who now spent his time funding charitable causes and appearing on lists of most eligible bachelors. He looked different in person, though. Less like the confident CEO from photographs, and more like someone who wished he could be anywhere else. His eyes scanned the crowd with an expression that seemed almost lonely despite being surrounded by hundreds of people trying to get his attention. Harper was composing a shot of the stage decorations when her phone buzzed in her pocket. Probably Becca asking how the job was going. She pulled it out to silence it quickly, but her finger slipped on the screen. Multiple things happened simultaneously. Her phone connected to the venue's wireless display system. The same system currently projecting the Charity Foundation's logo on massive screens throughout the ballroom. Her latest uploaded video, the one roasting millionaire problems, began playing at full volume through the sound system. Harper's own voice filled the ballroom, cheerful and mocking. So millionaires are really out here complaining that their third vacation home needs new marble countertops. My heart breaks for them. Truly, I can barely afford ramen. But please, tell me more about how the yacht club's champagne selection has declined. The tragedy. The video showed Harper in her tiny apartment, gesturing dramatically at her thrift store furniture. She had edited in clips of luxury homes and yachts from stock footage, contrasting them with her reality. Meanwhile, I am over here celebrating because I found a coffee shop that does not charge extra for oat milk. Different worlds, people. Different worlds. 200 pairs of eyes turned toward the screens. The orchestra trailed into silence. Harper stood frozen, watching her comedy roast play for an audience of the exact people she was mocking. Her video continued, showing her best material about private jet complaints. designer shopping struggles, and the horror of having staff who took weekends off. Mr. Thompson's face turned a shade of red that suggested immediate termination and possibly a restraining order. Harper's brain screamed at her to run, to grab her camera and escape through the kitchen before security arrived. But her feet would not move. The video ended with her signature sign-off. Remember, folks, money cannot buy happiness, but apparently it can buy a really nice crying closet in your mansion. This has been your reality check. Stay humble. The screens went dark. The silence felt like physical pressure. Harper located Nathan Sterling in the crowd. He was staring directly at her, his expression unreadable. She had just broadcasted a comedy routine mocking everything about his world to everyone in his world, including him. Her survival instinct finally kicked in, but instead of running, her mouth opened. "That was not supposed to happen," she announced to the frozen ballroom. "But now that everyone has seen my audition reel, I should mention I am available for birthday parties and corporate events. My rate is negotiable, clearly, since I just worked for free." One person laughed, a genuine sound that cut through the tension. Nathan Sterling stepped forward, his eyes never leaving Harper's face. "That was quite an introduction," he said, his voice carrying across the silent room. "Tell me, do you roast all your clients, or am I special?" Harper's heart hammered against her ribs as Nathan Sterling walked toward her through the parted crowd. She clutched her camera like a shield, mentally calculating how fast she could reach the exit. Mr. Thompson looked ready to personally throw her into the street, but Nathan raised a hand, stopping the coordinator mid-stride. "Special does not begin to cover it." Harper managed, her comedian instincts taking over her panic. "I usually charge extra for public humiliation, but for you, I made an exception. Consider it my charitable contribution to the evening." Nathan stopped a few feet away, studying her with an intensity that made her forget about the hundreds of people watching them. "You make comedy videos roasting wealthy people, and then you take photography jobs at their events. That is an interesting business model. It is called diversifying your income streams," Harper replied, lifting her chin despite wanting to melt into the floor. "Plus, the irony helps me sleep at night in my apartment that is smaller than most people's closets." A smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. The video was funny. Harsh, but funny. "You have good timing." Harper blinked. That was not the response she expected. "You are not angry that I basically mocked everything about your lifestyle to your face and everyone you know?" Nathan glanced around the ballroom. At the designer gowns and expensive jewelry, the ice sculptures and champagne fountains. "Most of this is ridiculous," he said quietly. "I've thought so for years, but no one in this room would ever say it out loud." "You did." Before Harper could process that confession, Nathan turned to address the crowd. His voice carried the natural authority of someone used to commanding attention. "Everyone, please enjoy the evening. The entertainment was unexpected but appreciated. And for those concerned about the foundation, Harper here has just demonstrated the kind of honest perspective we value. She will be our official photographer for tonight." Mr. Thompson made a strangled sound. Harper stood frozen as the crowd slowly returned to their conversations, crisis apparently diffused by Nathan's endorsement. The orchestra started playing again, and servers resumed circulating with champagne. Nathan turned back to Harper. "That is, if you still want the job after I made you the center of attention. I need the money." Harper admitted, then winced at her own honesty. "I mean, yes. I would love to photograph your event, Mr. Sterling." "Nathan," he corrected. "And I saw some of your actual photography on your profile before the roast video started playing. You have talent beyond making people laugh at themselves. You looked me up?" Harper felt heat rise to her cheeks. "Your username was on the screen," Nathan said with a slight smile. "I was curious about the woman brave enough to mock millionaires while standing in a room full of them." Harper spent the next hour photographing the gala. But it felt different now. Nathan kept appearing in her frame, not posing, but simply present. Between shots, he would drift over to where she stood, making quiet observations that surprised her. "That man by the ice sculpture," Nathan said during one break, "has been trying to pitch me his startup idea for 6 months. He does not realize I already invested in his competitor. The woman in the green dress runs a foundation that actually changes lives. But she never talks about it because she thinks charity should be private. These events are theater, Harper. Everyone performing their version of success. Why do you come then? Harper asked, adjusting her camera settings. Because the foundation does real good. These people write big checks when they feel inspired. Nathan's expression turned thoughtful. I learned early that you can hate the game and still play it if the outcome matters. They fell into an easy rhythm. Harper would photograph moments, and Nathan would tell her the real stories behind the polished surfaces. The tech mogul who started in a garage just like the story said, the heiress who secretly wanted to be a teacher but felt trapped by family expectations. The couple celebrating their 40th anniversary who still held hands when they thought no one was looking. During dinner service, Nathan found Harper by the balcony where she was capturing shots of the city skyline. I have a question, he said. Why photography and comedy? They seem like different paths. Harper lowered her camera. Photography is what I love. Comedy is what pays some bills and keeps me sane. The real world does not care much about artistic passion when rent is due. Nathan leaned against the balcony railing, his tuxedo jacket open, looking more relaxed than he had all evening. I started my company because I wanted to solve a problem, not because I wanted money. The wealth came later and brought complications I never anticipated. Now people see the net worth before they see the person. Is that why you look so lonely in a room full of people trying to impress you? Harper said, then immediately regretted her bluntness. Sorry, that was too personal, but Nathan did not look offended. He looked relieved. Yes, exactly that. Everyone wants something, or assumes they know who I am based on magazine articles. You dumped your comedy roast on my event and then talked to me like a regular person? Do you know how rare that is? Their eyes met, and Harper felt something shift between them. This was not just a wealthy man and a struggling photographer anymore. This was two people recognizing something familiar in each other despite everything that made them different. Can I see your real portfolio? Nathan asked. Not the event shots. Your actual work? Harper hesitated, then pulled out her phone. She scrolled to her private collection, photographs she took for herself. City scenes that captured loneliness and beauty simultaneously. Portraits of her neighbors that showed dignity and struggle. Street photography that found art in everyday moments most people ignored. Nathan studied each image carefully. His expression serious. This is what you should be doing. This is remarkable. Remarkable does not pay bills, Harper said softly. The art world is not interested in unknown photographers with no connections. What if you had a project? Nathan said slowly. My foundation is funding a documentary about urban poverty and resilience. We need a photographer who understands both the struggle and the beauty. Someone who can show the real stories without making them feel like poverty tourism. Harper's breath caught. That sounds like something that matters. It does, Nathan confirmed. And I think you would be perfect for it. Not because I feel sorry for you or because of what happened tonight. Because your work shows you see people as they really are. That is what this project needs. Before Harper could respond, Becca's name flashed on her phone. Her roommate had been texting increasingly worried messages. Harper quickly typed back that she was fine, that something incredible and weird had happened, that she would explain everything later. When she looked up, Nathan was watching her with an expression that made her heart race for entirely new reasons. Have dinner with me tomorrow, he said. We can discuss the project properly. No galas, no crowds, just conversation. This feels like a story that cannot possibly end well, Harper admitted. You are you, and I am me, and those worlds do not usually mix outside of fairy tales. Nathan smiled, genuine and warm. I spent my whole life being told what was possible and what was not. Then I built something impossible anyway. Maybe we should see where this goes before deciding it cannot work. Harper thought about her tiny apartment and broken camera lens. It's about his mansion that probably had rooms he had never even seen. She thought about how he looked at her photographs like they mattered. How he listened when she talked instead of waiting for his turn to speak. She thought about the loneliness she recognized in his eyes because it matched her own. Okay, she said, surprising herself. Tomorrow, but I am choosing the restaurant. And it will not have ice sculptures or champagne fountains." Nathan laughed. The sound rich and unguarded. "Perfect. I hate ice sculptures anyway." As the evening wound down and Harper prepared to leave, Nathan walked her to the hotel entrance. The city stretched out before them, millions of lights representing millions of different stories. Somewhere in that vast landscape, their two impossible worlds had just collided, and neither of them knew yet how much it would change everything. 3 weeks into the foundation project, Harper found herself in places she never imagined her camera would go. Nathan's foundation focused on supporting community centers in struggling neighborhoods, places Harper recognized because they looked like where she grew up. The project was not about making poverty look pretty for donors. It was about showing real people building real hope in difficult circumstances. Harper photographed a single mother who started a tutoring program in her living room. She captured teenagers creating murals on abandoned buildings, turning blight into beauty. She documented elderly residents who gathered every morning to share coffee and stories, creating family where blood relations had failed. Nathan accompanied her to most shoots, not as the billionaire philanthropist, but as someone genuinely interested in listening. During a session at a community kitchen, Harper watched Nathan roll up his sleeves and help serve meals. He talked with residents like equals, remembering names and asking follow-up questions about things they had mentioned weeks before. An older woman, named Mrs. Patterson, grabbed his hand and thanked him for seeing them as people, not projects. The look on Nathan's face in that moment was what Harper captured, and she knew it was the best photograph she had ever taken. Their dinner the night after the gala had turned into weekly meetings that felt less like work and more like the best part of Harper's week. They met at small restaurants Harper chose, places with mismatched chairs and food that tasted like someone's grandmother made it. Nathan never complained about the lack of white tablecloths or sommeliers. He seemed to relax in these spaces, laughing more freely, talking about dreams instead of business strategies. One evening at a tiny Ethiopian restaurant, Nathan asked about her family. Harper told him about growing up with a single father who worked 3 jobs, about learning photography with a camera she bought at a pawn shop, about the pressure of trying to make art matter in a world that mostly valued commerce. "My father wanted me to take over his company," Nathan shared, pushing injera around his plate. "Traditional manufacturing, very successful, very boring. When I told him I wanted to build technology that could change how people connect, he said I was wasting my potential on fantasies." We did not speak for 2 years. "What changed?" Harper asked softly. "I became successful enough that he could not dismiss me anymore," Nathan said, but there was no triumph in his voice. "Now he brags about me at his club. We have dinner once a month and talk about everything except what matters. I have money and influence, but I lost the chance to share it with someone who knew me before all this." Harper reached across the table and took his hand. Her father might not understand her choices either, but he still called every Sunday to hear about her week. The difference was that her father's love was not conditional on success. Their relationship shifted that night from professional collaboration to something neither of them could pretend was just friendship. Nathan started appearing at her apartment with coffee in the mornings before shoots. Harper found herself texting him random observations throughout the day. They developed inside jokes and comfortable silences. Becca watched it all with growing concern. "Harper, he is a billionaire," her roommate said one night after Nathan had left. "His world is private jets and board meetings. What happens when this project ends and reality sets in?" "Maybe reality does not have to mean we cannot work," Harper argued. But the doubt had already planted itself in her mind. The doubt grew stronger when Nafeen invited her to a business dinner with his associates. Harper wore her best dress, the one she had worn to the gala, and immediately felt underdressed among women in couture gowns. Victoria Ashford, a shareholder in Nathan's company, looked Harper up and down like she was evaluating livestock. "So you are the photographer?" Victoria said, her smile sharp. "How quaint that Nathan is exploring artistic hobbies. Though I suppose we all need distractions from the real work." Harper felt Nathan tense beside her. "Photography is not a hobby," he said firmly. Harper is documenting our foundation's impact. Her work will be featured in our annual report and exhibition. Of course, Victoria replied smoothly. I am sure it is very authentic. There is something charming about poverty tourism, when done tastefully. The words stung because they echoed Harper's own fears. Was she just another project for Nathan? A way for him to feel connected to real life before he returned to his actual world. She excused herself to the restroom, needing space from the glittering crowd and their barely concealed judgment. Nathan found her on the restaurant's terrace, staring at the city lights. I am sorry, he said immediately. Victoria's bitter because I rejected her business proposal last month. She lashes out. It is not just her, Harper said quietly. Everyone at that table looked at me like I do not belong. Like I am playing dress-up in their world. You are not playing anything. Nathan moved closer. You are the most real person I have met in years. That threatens people who have spent their lives maintaining appearances. Harper turned to face him. What are we doing, Nathan? In a few weeks, this project ends. You go back to your boardrooms and charity galas, and I go back to my apartment and comedy videos. We are from different planets. Nathan took her hands, his eyes intense in the dim light. I've spent my entire adult life being told what fits and what does not. Who I should date based on social standing and strategic connections. I am tired of living according to other people's rules. I know this is complicated. I know we come from different worlds. But Harper, when I am with you, I feel like myself for the first time in years. Harper felt tears prick her eyes. I am falling for you, and it terrifies me. Because when this ends, when you realize that dating someone like me comes with real costs to your reputation. I do not know if I can survive that heartbreak. Then do not think about endings, Nathan said, pulling her close. Think about right now. Think about how we make each other laugh. How you see me as Nathan, not as a net worth or a business opportunity. How I see you as brilliant and brave, not as someone who needs fixing or saving. Can that be enough? Before Harper could answer, her phone rang. Her comedy channel manager, a position that sounded more impressive than it was since Harper managed herself. One of her roast videos had gone viral, genuinely viral, with millions of views. A streaming platform wanted to discuss a comedy special. Harper's side hustle had just become a real opportunity. Nathan watched her face light up as she processed the news. This is amazing, he said, genuine joy in his voice. This is what you deserve. But a comedy special means months of work and travel, Harper said, the reality settling in. It means building a brand and marketing myself. I cannot do that and finish your project properly. Nathan smiled, understanding, dawning. You finished the foundation project because you committed to it, and those people deserve your best work. Then you pursue your comedy career with everything you have. I will support you however I can, but this is your dream. Do not sacrifice it for anyone, including me. That was the moment Harper truly fell in love with him. Not because of his wealth or influence, but because he wanted her to succeed on her own terms. He did not try to fix her problems with money or connections. He simply believed in her capability. The foundation project culminated in an exhibition that drew unexpected attention. Harper's photographs told stories that made wealthy donors uncomfortable and inspired them simultaneously. The images showed struggle without stripping away dignity, hope without minimizing hardship. Critics called it revolutionary documentary photography. Nathan stood beside her at the exhibition opening, his hand on the small of her back. I am so proud of you, he whispered. This is just the beginning. Harper had thought her comedy special would create distance between them. But Nathan showed up to her recording sessions when his schedule allowed. He sat in the back row, laughing at jokes about the absurdity of wealth disparity, never asking her to soften her material to protect his feelings. When she made a bit about dating someone who had more bathrooms than she had had apartments, he laughed the loudest 6 months after the gala disaster. Harper and Nathan sat on the roof of her apartment building, sharing takeout containers and watching the sunset paint the city gold. Becca had finally approved of their relationship after Nathan helped her brother get an interview at his company. Not a handout, but a genuine opportunity based on merit. I never thought this would work, Harper admitted, leaning against Nathan's shoulder. We are still from different worlds. Nathan kissed the top of her head. Maybe we are building a new world, one where success and struggle can coexist, where love matters more than social standing, where two people can choose each other despite everything that says they should not. Harper tilted her face up to kiss him properly, tasting the future in that moment. Her comedy special was scheduled to premiere next month. Nathan's foundation had expanded to 3 new cities. They still lived in different neighborhoods and moved through different circles, but they had created something genuine between them. Money had not bought their happiness, but honesty had built their love. And in a city of 8 million stories, theirs had become the one they both chose to keep writing together, one unexpected chapter at a time.